Okay. See, welcome to this session. In this session, we're going to look at how we have to find out the most important topics in chapter number one, and we have to go through we have to go through the important lines and words that we have to remember from the exam point of view. And at the end of the day, as usual, I'll be giving you a lot of tidbits, lot of news about, as you could see, on the screen. I'll tell you about the Bharat Pay. I'll tell you about Grammarly and what is their business model, revenue model, and what is the basic ideology in the business operation that they've come up. Okay, we'll be talking about so many things. Okay, so first we'll look into the topic. This is about strategic management, chapter number one. In this chapter, they have started to tell you, okay, this strategy or the word strategy or how to use it, or what is the strategy of what is the strategy for approaching for approaching the CA exam. How do you approach CA exam, or how do you approach the RBI exams, or how do you approach civil service exams. So the term strategy has become very common, very 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 common only in the recent times. Okay, but in 1960s or 1950s, if you ask any of the top management expert or top management top management guru, they would never have heard about the word strategy, because they have been using only this word. What is the word? It is the policy. This is a business policy. This is a long range planning, short range planning, long term planning, business policy. Everything was surrounding the term called as business. But today, in the business platform or in the business sphere, every word is being revolved around the word called as strategy. So initially, since you are an intermediate student, okay, the author wants to give you a taste of how strategy as a word come into this platform, because we were using only business policy, business planning, okay, business thriving. Do you understand? Business thinking, long term, short term. So these are all the words that were used. Okay, long ago, so long ago, we were only using that. But today, the complete connotation has differed. Now we are always using the word strategy, and not just in the business sphere. We are also using that in the normal, general, in the day-to-day life routine works, because we have, okay, what do you know? What are the 7 ways? Do you know the strategy of do you know the strategy to become a person who doesn't procrastinate anything, who doesn't procrastinate? If you want to know how to not procrastinate your everyday work, so this is the strategy you should follow, because now the strategy is not a business term, it has become as a household term. So now the author wants to give you the first impression of, okay, once upon a time it was this word that everybody used in the business platform, that everybody used in the business area or business sphere. But now that word has been slowly being replaced by strategy. So what was that word? That word was business policy. So generally, what is a policy? A policy. See, not a policy in do you know what my policy is? I will never get credit from anybody. I will credit in the sense I will never get loan from anybody. I will not borrow from anybody. This is my policy. Okay, because my father had a policy that I will never borrow from anybody. I will have my full savings and only then I will build a house. Okay, whether that is a foolish choice or whether it is a very brilliant choice, that we are not going to debate here. But one thing you have to be very sure. The moment when we talk about a policy, you're trying to imitate, or you're trying to exhibit, or you're trying to reflect your identity and character. The identity and character is not only for an individual, it is also for the company. It is also for the business. So when the business is talking about its policy, it is trying to reflect, or it is trying to project. Do you know who am I? Do you know what am I capable of? Do you know what will I do? Do you know what I will never do? Do you know what Tata as a company stands for? I will never involve into these kind of business practices because this is Tata. Which means the word business policy is trying to reiterate or re-emphasize. Do you know who I am? So when the company wants to make the public understand who they are, what they will do, what they will never do, and what is the character and identity of that particular company, okay, in those understanding or in those conversation or in those situation, okay, the word business policy is always used or has always been used. Do you understand? So now the business policy, what are the few important lines that you have to understand? Line number 1, it is always aimed at creation of business policy, because when I work in a company, I have to know what the company stands for, what are the general protocol of these general protocol of this company, and then I should also know that the company, whether the company has a high employee standards or low employee standard. Whether they care more about employees or customers. I've told you about Tanishq, example, right? Whether they care more about employee or customer, whether they are profit oriented, okay, whether they are highly profit oriented or non-profit oriented company, everything I should know. Yes. So, in a very simple perspective, they're trying to tell you business policy. Okay, what is a business policy? Read every line, because there is around 50 pages for chapter 1. We are not going to read every word or every line in your book, but I've chosen some of the lines which will fit in any answers. For example, any question they are asking you about business policy, you can write these 3 lines, no problem. It is all common, and that is why I've chosen these 3 lines about the business policy. What have they told you? What are they trying to tell you? Business policy always aims at creation of general management capability. What is that they're trying to tell you? They're trying to tell you, or the author is trying to reinforce that business policy is going to give you a referendum of what this company is all about. What are the general management capabilities that an executive should possess? That is what it's trying to tell. What is the second point? Do you know how business policy as a term evolved? How did it evolve? How did it grow? How did it, transform itself into new words? எப்படி சொல்றாங்கன்னா, always business policy is used in the planning techniques by managers. Because who will manage the company, who will manage the business, who will manage the sales department, who will manage the marketing department, every department has to be managed by an individual or group of individuals. So now this individual, okay, when he is handling a particular department, he should know what to do, what not to do, and how to do, and the hows and how nots, which means it gives a basic understanding and it gives the basic idea to the managers about the running of their departments or running of their agenda in a perfectly planned manner for both short term and long term. Which means when I'm managing a company, I should have some planning efforts. Only after I plan something, I can do it. So business policy can also be termed as business planning for short term or for long term or for sales department or for other departments as well. Okay, and then when the planning is for short term and long term or long range planning, now what happened? Slowly the long range planning of a company, okay, the long range or long term planning of a company was replaced by the word strategic management. So what are they trying to tell you? Long range planning was replaced by strategic planning or strategic management, because a strategy always tries to give you a hope or confidence or motivation, or it always tries to tell you one important thing, that we are not just short-sighted. We are not seeing what we can do in just a year. We have to establish and stabilize and survive, okay, in this hostile external environment forever. So if I were to survive here forever, then what will I do? I have to be long term, I have to be long range, I have to be far sighted, I have to be a visionary, I have to be flexible, adaptive, I have to be everything that a business wants to be. Which means when you're talking about the business planning and when you're talking about a strategy, most importantly when you're talking about strategy, the word strategy tries to impersonate something. What is it trying to impersonate? It says that, do you know who am I? I'm a person who will help you to stay in the business forever. I'm not going to give you any quick fix. For example, if your tap has broken, if you want to seal it for the time being, that is called as a quick fix. If you want to replace the faucet completely, if you want to replace the tap completely, then that is the real strategy for your business. If you're searching for quick fixes, strategy won't help you, because strategy is not for quick fixes. Strategy is not for I would say, it is not to correct your mistakes alone. It is for establishing a very strong foundation, fundamental, grounded business establishment for you, grounded business presence in the industry. If there are 100 companies in the industry of cement, and if you want to be number one, that is your goal or vision, then how are you going to do it? What are all the ways in which, what are all the ways, or what are all the methods, or what are all the what is the pathway that you're going to take up in order to become number one? Those pathways cumulatively, okay, it will be ranked as strategies. So strategy is always for long term. It is not for quick fix. It is not for corrective mode. It is for establishing grounded business presence for a company. Okay, and this is what is the starting point of birth of strategic management. And then what? Here they have business policy. What do you mean by business policy? They have an explanation. I'll tell you. Basically, business policy is all about enriching the executives, enriching the managers, to make them understand what is their role. You should know. See, for example, you're the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, and as a CEO of a particular company, as a CEO of Procter and Gamble, P&G. Okay, it's a consumer product. So, as a CEO of Procter and Gamble, you should understand. Okay, you should know the workplace ethics. You should know the industrial movements or industrial fluctuations, or the taste and preferences of the customers. Okay, or the trend nowadays, or what is the new style and format. For example, nowadays nobody, there is a trend of vegan, that they will not even drink the cow's milk, because you are actually not treating the cow well, because the cow is milking for its calf, but you are drinking it. That is not good, and that is the perspective for PETA. Okay, so the pet animals are being cared for more than ever. So these are all the things that a CEO should possess in order to plan for his business. So as a business policy, I would say business policy is a term that is used to re-emphasize the importance of enriching the knowledge, or importance of how to enrich the knowledge of executives, or how the business executives are crafted. How are they, I would say, how are they designed? Okay, how are they being molded in order to take a decision? How should you mold a chartered accountant? How you should mold chief executive, and what should his decision making concentrate more onto? His decision making should give more importance to this than that. So when you're trying to train the business professional, when you're trying to train the executive officer, then I would say business policy is all about that. So here is the glimpse of that. Business policy is a study of the functions and responsibilities. It is a study of the functions and responsibilities of senior management, and you're also studying about the crucial problems that affect the success in a particular company. And it also talks about the decision that's going to determine the future of a company. So here there are three important words. What is it? Functions and responsibilities of CEO, and the problems, or the crucial or critical problem that affects the success of a company. And then number three, the decisions that will shape the success of the company. So if you want to know all about these things, then you have to come to the term called as business policy. So obviously business policy is the stratum, or is the ground where the strategic management is going to be born. Yes, so business policy is the ground, or it is the stratum, I would say. It is the structure. It is a fundamental structure. So this fundamental structure, how is it going to give birth to strategic management? See here, strategic management, I would say, is a rational analytical aspect of it is a rational analytical aspect of strategic management. So business policy is a rational and analytical aspect of strategic management, and the framework for understanding the strategic decision making is only by business policy. See, I would say business policy is something like knowing about your company well. Okay, knowing about your company's character, identity, your company's behavior, your company's workplace climate, your company's warmth. See, for example, sometimes I used to wonder that when I enter into a private limited company, okay, and there are three apprentices who works there, okay, and then exactly at lunchtime they will be forced to get out of the offices or the office cabin, so as to ensure that everybody has their lunch time, okay, properly. So this is the workplace habit of that company. But there are companies where exactly at lunchtime the principal will come and give you an additional job to make sure that you don't go to lunch at all. So this is what I'm talking about. Business policy reveals the true character and identity of a company. What to expect of a company? I'll give you an example. The example is about the Mahindra and Mahindra company, M&M, Mahindra and Mahindra, which who is the huge manufacturer of. See, that is a very group conglomerate. It has a lot of, for example, Club Mahindra. Okay, in Club Mahindra you can book the restaurant. I mean, you can book the hotels. Okay, hotel rooms when you go on vacation. And then Mahindra has a lot of other businesses. But the major business that they're involved in is the four-wheeler business, and you also have two-wheelers in their section, but that is not the importance of discussion now. What is most important now is the example that I'm going to give about the true character and identity of Mahindra and Mahindra. So once what happened was they were designing a vehicle, that is they were designing a SUV, and usually SUV will have one tire which has to be kept as a spare tire, because Jeeps or SUV are bound to travel on a very rugged path or on a very unruly, it will be traveling on a very rugged path. So since SUVs are designed to travel on a very different, I would say it's not on a very flat, smooth surface. Always a spare tire is very good for Jeeps or SUVs, okay. So what Mahindra and Mahindra usually does is that they keep the spare tire, okay, spare tire, or they would call a stepney. The stepney is always kept at the bottom of the car, okay, and that is the best option for the car manufacturer, because if you place the stepney right at the center of the bottom of the car, that is at the bottom of the car, in the central place, you have to place it. That is where you place the stepney. But then what happened was, people, that is general consumers, or I would say the general buyers of the car, they preferred the model of placing the stepney or placing the spare tire at the back of the Jeep or at the back of the SUV, so that it gives a very stylish look to the SUV. So what happened was, the board of directors of Mahindra were convinced that yes, we should do it, because people prefer it, because nowadays the style has become very important in order to influence the taste and preferences of consumers. So people who are buyers, who are the potential buyers of this SUV, they are preferring to have the spare tire at the back door or at the back door of the SUV or the Jeep. So the board of directors said yes, we'll do it. Okay, even though it has a very probable bad engineering prospect, because once you place the spare tire at the back of the car, the efficiency of the car or the speed of the car will definitely be reduced. But then the board of the directors said yes, okay, no problem, we will just pass this resolution. I mean, we'll pass this decision to place the stepney of the car at the back end. No problem. But then what happened was, the chief of the director, he said, no, I am not going to approve for this decision. I'm not going to approve of this decision, because Mahindra and Mahindra as a company will not do this. And everybody was so unconvinced, because they said no, placing the stepney at the back of the car is a good decision. But then the chief and the board of directors were all they had a lot of conflicting discussion. So what was the final decision was that, since we are placing the stepney at the back of the car, the speed, the efficiency is going to reduce. So the directors and the other people who are responsible for decision making, they said, okay, let's do one thing. Let's place the stepney of the car, at the bottom of the car itself. And people are preferring to have a stylish back end of the car. That is, in SUV you have the back door, and the back door should possess that stepney of the car, and that is what people prefer. Okay, since people prefer that, Okay, since people prefer to have a stylish back door, what we'll do is we'll just put a fake tire at the back end, so that the weight will not be leveraging at the back, and the real tire is also being kept at the bottom of the car, so the efficiency is kept intact and the speed is kept intact. And then to influence and to compensate and to convince the buyers, we are also keeping a fake tire at the back which doesn't have so much of weight. So in a classy way, we are also giving what the buyers want, and also we are not compromising on efficiency and the speed. What do you say? So this is the new decision that the board has taken. But again, the chief said no, this is not going to happen. And now this time everybody was so flustered because they asked why. Because last time you said you don't want to have this because the speed and efficiency of the car is going to decrease, and that is why you said you will not place the stepney at the back. But now what are we doing? We're placing the real tire at the bottom of the car, and then at the back end, that is at the back door, we're just placing a fake tire in order to convince the customers, or in order to influence the preferences of the buyers. We're placing it in order to add some stylish equation to the car. Why are you again disagreeing with us? This is what the problem. This was the problem that was going on within the board of directors and the chief. And the chief finally said that Mahindra and Mahindra will never, ever, okay, put on something outside which is a fake shell. Okay, will never stand for something on the outside and something on the inside. So when you place a stepney tire at the back door of the car, then it has to be the real stepney. It cannot be the fake shell, or it cannot be a fake tire. If you're keeping the fake tire outside and if you're keeping the real tire at the bottom, then we are manipulating, we are opaquing the people. Okay, so Mahindra and Mahindra will never stand for whatever is not being shown to the people on the face of it. So prima facie, de facto, when I show something to people, and when people believe that yes, the tire is at the back side, so it's stylish, people believe that the stepney is at the back, but then the real stepney is at the bottom of the car. But then this is a style quotient that you've added to bring the brand value or to bring the potential buyers into your area. So now Mahindra and Mahindra has made a very, very, very clear cut business policy or character identification or the identity and character demarcation. What they have done, the Mahindra and Mahindra chief has clearly said that we will not stand for something that we are showing at the bottom. Okay, what is that he's trying to tell? Even though the real tire is under or bottom of the car, at the bottom of the car, and then you're placing the fake at the back, I will never stand for the fake emancipation. I will not stand for the fake projection, because what you show is what you should have. If you're showing something and the reality is different, that is not the policy of Mahindra and Mahindra. And that is what exactly you have to understand about the term called as business policy. Business policy refines, redefines, okay? It grips, it emulates, it emotes the value, character, identity, brand value, what you stand for, and that is what is called as business policy. I hope this session would be, this session would be highly entertaining and educating as well. And in the next video, I'll be talking to you about the BharatPe and Grammarly with few other statements which is most important for our examination. Yes, I hope you've understood the concept of business policy. Okay, in the next video, we'll be talking about the concept of management. Okay, thank you so much for your patience listening. Bye.